Camilla Bullock, and I am the CEO at the Emerging Payments Association Asia. And I'm delighted to welcome you all to today's workshop on the topic of open data. We are hosting this workshop in collaboration with the ASEAN Bankers Association and the Asia Pacific Financial Forum. And we will soon hear from Mr. Kobasak Dujandi, who's the Secretary General of the Thai Bankers Association and the chair of Asia Pacific Financial Forum, and also from Julius Caesar Perennius, the coordinator of the Asia Pacific Financial Forum. We are grateful for the collaboration with both of those organizations, and for all of you on the call that you have joined today, either you being from the official or the private sector, to have this discussion on the topic of the vision, creating a holistic system for open data, starting now and building for the future. We have lived through a lot of change during the last couple of years, and it's many financial executives that probably thinks that our industry is moving too fast. There are new regulation, new technologies, and new challenges. But on the other hand, there are also several people who thinks that in the field of open banking, things has not moved fast enough. And the open banking has far from reached its full potential yet. And the word yet is very powerful here, that open banking is not a goal or a destination. It's a mean to an end. And the end is to meet customer expectations or exceed customer expectations while improving operations. And access to financial data unlocks so many opportunities to improve experience and create more inclusive financial ecosystems. And open banking is evolving and expanding into open finance, and which in its turn going to evolve into the power of embedded financial services. And we are expecting that finance, payments, loans, insurance will all become completely invisible to the customer. And this has the potential to change the role that financial institutions play in our lives, from providing financial services to be enablers for all industries. And with that in mind, the next step is the evolution and the process to create an open data economy. And in the report that we admitted to the ABAC meeting in Vancouver in May, after our first open data workshop, we wrote, in order to facilitate open data economies, key principles need to be established to ensure alignment and consistency. These consistent principles may include privacy, data sovereignty, individual rights, corporate and government assets. We believe that establishing key use cases and share best practice is a way to move towards the vision of open data to create value for consumer and businesses in APAC. And unlike technology standards, the community will not be able to establish open data without government support. Operating consistently can help reduce regulated burdens across the markets, and a common approach and knowledge that we can achieve more together than apart. The best architecture in the world are built on strong foundations, and hence we're here today to discuss the inputs on the most important building blocks for a future of open data ecosystem that is accessible, scalable, and interoperable. And we're here today to learn about what has worked and not worked in other jurisdictions, and to better understand how to create a framework for an in-market and between markets that will enable and facilitate secure value creation from open data. We have an exciting program today, so we should get started straight away. But I just want to introduce quickly Nelixa Devlukia, who you will meet in a few of the different sessions today. So Nelixa is an EPA ambassador, and she has previously worked at the Financial Conduct Authority on all matters related to the PSD2, and also for the open banking implementation entity. So you will meet Nelixa later today, but now I would like to hand over to Mr. Kobasak Dujandi.
Thank you. Our esteemed organizers from the Emerging Payments Association colleagues from the ASEAN Banker Association, ABAC, and APFF, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this roundtable, which will discuss our work on open data. Open data is an expanded version of open banking concept implemented in Europe through the Payment Services Directive 2 or PSD2, as well as in a few other markets. While the classic open banking involved one-way flow of permissions consumers' data from banks to the third-party service providers, open data involves a multi-directional flow of data across the market participants. At the center of the open data ecosystem is the individual consumer who has full control of his or her data and able to permission its sharing in order to more conveniently access a wide variety of services using digital channels. Some economies have already started the journey where almost all initial use cases are financial services. However, implementation varies across markets. Some are government-led, others are industry-led, and some are more on the prescriptive side. Others more free-form in their approach. The focus of efforts are domestic, and there are no common cross-border standards as of today. If designed properly, an open data system can enable competition and empower innovation. It can enable better consumer outcomes and provide an ecosystem for fintech firms to collaborate with banks while supported by digital enablement and access. Open data support wider access to financial services. It can promote financial inclusion in developing economies. If access to the internet, digital and financial literacy, and adequate consumers' protection are addressed. As was concluded in our roundtable earlier this year, 4 things key to the successful development of open data ecosystems. The first is the whole of government approach to ensure coordination and synergy among multiple authorities with varieties regulatory objectives, such as prudential regulators, central banks, corporate and conduct regulators, consumer protection agencies, digital ID authorities, privacy commissions, industrial self-regulatory bodies, and financial institutions that have their own rules and policies. As we expand beyond financial data, the list gets longer as we include various authorities regulating different industries. It is important in reducing the compliance burdens and costs for market participants, and also in laying the foundation of cross-border interoperability. The second is the importance of standards, harmonization, and cross-border integrations. While there are a number of emerging standards, such as ISO 20022, W3C, verifiable credentials, OpenID Connect, and PEPOS in the invoicing space, among others, but difference in implementation and cost to local institutions and decreased utility for consumers. The discussion highlights the importance of the recognition of the standard and the level of harmonization, at least for basic elements of open data, in order to promote consistency and allow firms to exchange technologies, learning, and practices globally. The third is the need to address challenges to active participation in open data ecosystem in developing economy, such as lack of access to the digital world and insufficient literacy, and the huge benefits that these economies can reap from open data if these challenges are addressed. Compared to producers in advanced economy who already have better access to online markets, those in developing economies have more to gain. One example given is that of a rice farmer who with better infrastructure gains access to payments and access to online markets, where he can be able to simply advertise the quality and grade of rice. He anticipates producing benefits from reduced costs through better access to finance and to market for services and suppliers, and get a better price without excessive value extraction by intermediaries. The fourth is the importance of the commercial invoice. Most implementation cases of open banking to date have designed with a purely technical view, but users' access to data remains constrained by various regulatory factors, such as privacy concerns. Since from the commercial perspective, data is not just database, but include transactions, payments, market orders, invoice, notifications, and many others. It is important to adopt implementation approach that pay attention to the commercial aspects of open data in order to enable businesses to provide more significant benefit to consumer. An important conclusion from all these themes is the need for coordinating guidance from governments to agencies and private institutions in sharing consumer data for the benefit of individuals. These cover agreements on common standards, building the infrastructure, and solving critical legal, technical, logistical problems. To facilitate the world where we can share information freely, confidently and securely within, and ultimately across borders. Key principles include those government privacy, data sovereignties, and individual rights need to be established to ensure alignments and consistency. Given its weight in the world economy, APEC has potential role to play in developing a common standards and harmonizing basic implementation of open data among its members, and eventually to coordinate with Europe, which is now moving forward with its own PSD3 in promoting a global ecosystem. These are the issues that we will discuss today. I encourage everyone to participate actively in the discussion to help us refine and finalize our ideas and recommendations, while APEC will include in our report to APEC Finance Minister this year. I look forward to the fruitful and successful roundtable. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.